or of what I do online.
Since then, you have about 100,000 or more viewers and followers. How do you manage to keep them coming? And is that a tough job to do?
I think that if you're true to yourself and you post what is genuinely true to you and authentic, then the people who are drawn to you genuinely will stay. So as much as, financially, you sometimes have to look at the numbers. For me, I find it very draining looking at the numbers, but more rewarding to see how my content is impacting people, and 3 people who tell me that I've made their day or I've inspired them to visit a place. I think that's more rewarding for me.
So how do you balance your life as a mom, as an influencer, as someone who's in the media?
Luckily, I have a daughter who's very keen in what I'm doing in terms of photography and videography. So I do take her along with me to work sometimes. I try to balance that part of my life with her. If I can bring her with me on a trip, I'll bring her. If she can take pictures of me at home, then she'll do that. So I try to involve her in my career. I do make time for my friends as well. We are in the digital space. We are able to stay online and contact each other and stay connected. So as much as it's not very easy to meet them face to face, we are connected with my family, and you just make time for things that really matter to you, I guess.
Lately, there's been things in the medical field, worries in the medical field that children or young people are developing tics, for instance, from being so much on TikTok. Do you worry about that, or do you think that she'll grow to have a balanced amount of use of the internet and social media?
I do try and protect her. I got her off TikTok a year ago when she told me, when she only had like 4 followers, who were all girls in her class. And she said, "Oh, Mommy, could you please ask people to follow me? I don't get any likes." And I'm like, "Oh no, maybe this is not the right thing. If you're 7 years old and you're concerned that you're not getting as many likes as your 4 friends on TikTok," I just thought it was a place for her to express herself creatively. And she's old enough for me to have conversations and show her what's happening on the internet with, the bad, the good, and the bad that's happening online, to not just children, but even to adults. So I do try to make her aware of these conversations. And, we can only protect them so much when they're in our spaces. They're out there, they have friends, but I think having these conversations with them gives them a sense of awareness. And
what would you give as an advice to young women who are coming up and, as you said, could actually make it a job and an income? What would be one of your advices?
I think it's a good thing when it starts off as a hobby. When you do something, whether you're cooking and you do it for fun, or you love dressing up, or you love taking photos of your neighborhood or your friends, when it starts off as a hobby, that is the most beautiful thing. Because when people start paying you to do what you love, there's nothing more rewarding. And sometimes I get so tired doing photo shoots, but at the end of the day, it's what I love. And I'd rather be tired doing what I love than being paid to. I always tell my friends this: I have a degree in food science and technology. I say, oh, I'm so much happier being paid doing photo shoots rather than standing in a food factory or a food lab all day.
Now we go to Uganda. I spoke to none other than Zahara Toto, also known as DJ Zato, a woman whose energy is unmatched when it's time for action online or offline. I met her 2 years ago in Kampala, was impressed by her energy, work ethic, as well as passion for everything she does as an entertainer. DJ Zato has an army of more than 500,000 followers just on Instagram. She's a TV and radio presenter at NBS and Next Radio. She spoke to me from the studios in Kampala right after her midday show. I began asking her if she predicted the large following she has today.
I grew up a social person. I've always been on TV. I've always been on radio. I was raised for that. I was raised for being on the media platforms. So I never thought that social media would contribute that so much to my career and my path. The greatest advantage is that I've got an opportunity to showcase my work, my line of business on social media.
Now, companies must be behind you all the time wanting to do advertisement with you. How do you handle that dozens of requests? I mean, do you have people helping you, or do you manage all of that?
Well, I don't have anybody helping me as of now. Being a social media influencer in my country, Uganda, is kind of hard and difficult. It's so hard to trust somebody to run your accounts for you. Yeah, so you find yourself doing all this work by yourself, and I'm okay with it, Orion. I'm alone and I'm okay with it.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah.
You're a superwoman, I tell you. You have faithful followers. What are some of the tips you can give women influencers, young women influencers who are coming up on the scene and they want to be where you are, even beyond?
All right, now, first and foremost, you gotta find your niche. Orion, you got to find that one ground. That's something that you love most, yeah? Something that you know you really love, because once you love that something, once you wanna do it on a daily, you're going to do it with consistency. And consistency is key if you are a social media influencer. So consistency on content. Yeah, on content, on whatever you want to push. Is it your lifestyle that you want to show people out there? Is it your work? Is it your business, your products? What exactly do you want the world to see out there? You have to find a social media calendar. Like I said, consistency is key. No matter what you do, you have to align your content. You cannot post 1,000 contents in a day and tomorrow you have nothing to post. So you have to draw your influencing calendar, and that will be good for you. The other thing is you have to choose a platform. Yeah, you have to choose a platform. You might choose any platform, like you might find your energies are bigger on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yet on TikTok and Snapchat, your energy is not there. So focus where your energy, where your followers, your fan base is. Focus on what your fans really, really, really love, and that will make you successful.
Do you ever feel maybe I've influenced people in the wrong way? I didn't mean this particular post. What do you do then?
Yeah, sometimes I go overboard. But you know that overboard that I go, I'm actually the me that the social media doesn't know. That's actually the me. So even though I post something or influence something in a negative manner or in a wrong way, or maybe somebody or the crowd or my followers take it in a wrong way, Orion, I think I'm portraying the me people don't know, and I'm okay with it. And I don't feel bad about showing them that other side of me. It's me being human on social media. Everybody makes mistakes, and I'm okay and open to criticism.
We have social media influencers that are also parents, and they're also single moms that are also doing other things. How do you strike a balance?
First and foremost, my kids know my line of business. They know my line of job. They never intervene with anything concerning me and my work. They know it brings food on our plates. It provides a good, healthy living for themselves. So they never intervene in any way. And being a mother and a social media influencer, I've also tried to influence a lot of mother in Africa, in my country. You know, being a strong mother in my country is very hard. Having 3 kids and no husband and no boyfriend, just one job is not easy. So I've used my influencing work and my pages to influence and empower young women in my country. Orion, I feel very powerful. I feel very good when I do that for the young ladies out there, and they are so proud of me. Same applies for my children. They are so proud of me.
We have to take another quick break, but when we come back, we discuss the dangers to produce content at all costs. Pressures causing some to wonder whether some are influencers or are under the influence of social media. We bring you a story of an Instagram influencer who recently faced backlash after posing in front of her deceased father's casket. We also talk to an author who's following closely the phenomenon of young women developing tics from TikTok. You don't want to miss that. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Our Voices. Now, an influencer is someone who can promote a brand or make a brand out of their lifestyle by using social media such as Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram to influence followers to buy into that lifestyle. Now, what about those who some people view as personalities under the influence of social media, doing the most in search of viewers and followers? Some even are developing what clinicians are calling functional lactic behavior. Now, to discuss this very worrisome health report, I spoke to author and blogger Heather Carter. Mrs. Carter writes extensively about addiction as well as what she calls diseases of the soul?
I think for me, I was just astounded that you can develop a physical type of disorder from repeatedly watching these TikToks.
Mm-hmm. Now, in a Wall Street Journal article, writer Julie Jargon explains the tic phenomena this way. The movements are sociogenetic, meaning they are developed socially but have a profound and real neurological effects. Patients had physical jerks such as neck twitching or were compulsively and involuntarily repeating words like beans. Why beans?
They don't even explain the beans. I'm not sure why beans got in there, but you know, obviously what we think about, we bring about. You know, if we're watching things over and over, and that's why I love the idea of ruminating on scripture, memorizing things that God has for us to hear, because those things are eventually going to come out also. But we have to insert that information more often and more regular than what the things we're seeing on TV or social media or with our friends. You know, it's not just social media's fault. We're the ones who have to control what's going in.
So could that be precisely what we're talking about? Influencers and those under the influence.
Well, and that is the thing that really hit home, because I just came out with my new book called Soul Selfie, #NoFilter. And it's my second book. My first one's just called Soul Selfie. But it's the idea that we turn that camera back around on our own souls and take a look what's going on in there. And when I realized how people are being physically affected by the repetition of TikToks and other things from social media, it really makes me think about what's going on. That came after what started happening in here. So how many things are happening to women by what they watch, and how we're comparing ourselves to things that aren't even real. We know they're not real, but we still seem to base our identity often on what we see on social media.
Heather, can you explain to us what you mean by diseases of the soul, which could be what some are going through or are experiencing on the internet?
Well, one of the things that I learned from my leukemia journey is that God just said, Heather, you are a full-time job. And that meant that I needed to turn that camera back around and look at the things that were going on in me. So diseases of the soul, or common plagues of the heart, as I call them, are worry, fear, resentment, control, image management, comparison, jealousy, just to name a few. And I found that I'm not the only one who has those diseases. And unfortunately, they are chronic. And my goal in writing is to help you know that you're not alone in your struggles and that there's always hope.
And so in your view, the internet has been where most people have been going to trying to find solutions to those diseases of the soul that you talk about in your writing?
People are looking to the wrong sources for those answers. Even though it seems like we're really all connected, we're really isolated, because those aren't real. We see real pictures on social media, but they are not, it's not the real world. We only see a snapshot of their day and it looks perfect. But you didn't see the fight before the shot, and you didn't see the argument after the shot was taken, you know, but we're comparing ourselves to that cute little picture.
We now bring you the story that recently raised a lot of eyebrows. An influencer or someone under the influence of social media? Well, we'll let you be the judge. A young woman in Florida, here in the United States, recently faced harsh criticism after posing in front of her deceased father's casket and posting it on Instagram. 24-year-old Jane Rivera shared photos of her posing next to her father's open casket at his funeral. She was wearing what some consider to be a sexy black suit. Now, in some of the pictures, she appeared to be content of the images, even smiling in some of them. Now, many people took it to Twitter and commented extensively about her pictures and videos, trying to make sense out of them. Here's what some had to say. When you surround yourself daily with people who do nothing but tell you how awesome and hot you are, and everything you do is perfect, then this makes perfect sense. Oh my God, this is the exact representation of a hollow generation, sick with social networks, empty, just looking for approval. These Instagram influencers can do anything for looking good and for some followers. Shame on such people. According to NBCnews.com, in an interview with them, Mrs. Rivera said that she, quote unquote, understood the negative reception, but clarified by stating that the photos were taken, and I quote, with the best intentions, in the manner my father would have approved had he still been alive. Let us know what you think about Mrs. Rivera's social media post about her deceased father's pictures and videos. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our handle is at VOA Our Voices. We are also on WhatsApp. Our number is right there on your screen. Now, last but not least, some may ask, what is the role of big tech companies who create and run the social media platforms? Facebook was recently in the hot seat again. A Wall Street Journal report cites the internal knowledge of its harmful effect and the company's unwillingness to act. A whistleblower, a former Facebook employee, came out in public in October to testify against the social media company, only adding to the scrutiny. VOA's Tina Trim tells us more.
Facebook, the social networking giant that also owns Instagram and WhatsApp, is in the spotlight once again.
I'm here today because I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
Frances Haugen worked at Facebook for 2 years as a project manager, but has since become known as the Facebook whistleblower. Haugen testified at a Senate hearing about what she says is an intentional lack of action and transparency by the company and its related apps, such as Instagram. She said Facebook algorithms tend to promote falsehoods faster than the truth, citing misinformation campaigns that have spread in the U.S. and abroad.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
According to Facebook's own study, 32% of teenage girls on Instagram said that when they felt bad about their bodies, the site made them feel worse.
Facebook knows that its amplification algorithms, things like engagement-based ranking on Instagram, can lead children from very innocuous topics like healthy recipes, just something innocent like healthy recipes, to anorexia promoting content over a very short period of time.
But Facebook says that Haugen only had a limited view of research and policy decisions at the social media firm and pointed that out during her testimony. Facebook's head of global safety appeared before senators.
Has Facebook ever found a change to its platform would potentially inflict harm on users, but move forward because the change would also grow users or increase revenue?
Has not been my experience at all at Facebook. We care deeply about the safety and security of the people on our platform. We've invested $12 billion in it. We have thousands and thousands of people working on this issue. That's just not how we would approach it.
We've had Facebook, in testimonies at hearings, also always saying they're going to do better, they're going to do different, and then they walk away and nothing happens or nothing majorly happens. And I think that this is the first time that that's being documented about all the things that they actually had information about, things that they could have done, and they just didn't do it.
Some are comparing Facebook to a pivotal moment in the cigarette industries.
Facebook and big tech are facing a big tobacco moment, a moment of reckoning. When we learned of those files that showed not only that big tobacco knew that its product caused cancer, but that they had done the research, they concealed the files.
It remains to be seen if lawmakers and regulators will act to curtail Facebook's alleged harm. And it's not clear how Facebook will respond, even if the calls for change originate from within. Tina Trin, VOA News.
And that's all for us this week. On behalf of VOA and my colleagues on Our Voices, thank you for being with us. Until next time, have a great day.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
IPs, federal government exempts universities, polytechnics, others, and Rivers crisis. Assembly declares seats of 27 lawmakers vacant as Amewele Group convenes sitting a day after complex demolition. I am Bola Oba, and this is Plus Politics. Federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education have been taken off the Integrated Personnel Payment System, IPS. The exemption approval reached during the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja on Wednesday comes as a relief to tertiary institutions across the country. The Minister of Education, Professor Taye Mamman, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondents alongside other ministers on the outcome of the Federal Executive Council meeting, noting that this takes immediate effect. According to him, the Council observed that vice-chancellors of universities did not need to abandon their work to come to Abuja to process the salaries of their personnel.
Happy day for the education sector. Because one of the problems which has made recruitment and many other activities of the university relating to personnel very, very difficult. Now today, today's council, it has been decided, the President has directed that Vice Chancellor should no longer or have been taken out of that service. So this is a very, very important development for the Vice Chancellor that will allow for efficient management of the universities and tertiary education, generally speaking. And then secondly, which is connected to that, before now, when the tertiary education institutions want to make recruitment, they have to run to the office of the head of service, for waiver, for approval, for all that sort of thing. Today, too, the council, through the directive of the President, has exempted them from that they will have nothing to do. They don't have to go to the office of the head of service because it is actually not in their line of supervision. So that too, that has been a big bottleneck in management of staff in the universities where they have to apply to that office whenever there are vacancies and have built up a lot of vacancies in the universities and polytechnics and that level of service, waiting sometimes for years, for months. And so from this, at this today's meeting, that requirement has been removed. So they will only be guided by what their law prescribes, and then of course there are other levels of supervision. The NUC at the Federal Ministry of Education is there, so that's a very big relief for the universities, and we sincerely hope these measures will be responsibly reciprocated by the institutions.
Joining us is former ASU chairman, Professor Rufus Olowe. Prof, good to have you on Plus Politics.
Thank you very much.
Prof, what would be your initial response to the two concessions made by the Federal Executive Council yesterday to what has been ASU's age-long agitations?
Well, thank you very much. This is actually a welcome development because the ASU have been present on this matter for a long time. Universities are supposed to have their own autonomy. IBPS, as you see, is an encouragement to the autonomy of the universities. For everything to be done centrally at Abuja, that means that each university governing council or the university management, they have no control over the staff and the movement of the staff. In fact, we have seen that this IBPS is one of the vehicles to promote the issue of ghost workers. There are some people who say go appear there. They are not even, they might not even, because they are operating on the system, whereby they might not even know some of the people that are even present in the system. We have given a scenario whereby they are even encouraging more of those workers. But what they are trying to eliminate is what that thing is encouraging. So there is no way the properly handle the issue of salary and wages of a remuneration of their staff without the proper control by the university management of different institutions.
Prof.
So it's a serious agreement to the autonomy of the university. And this IBPS has also considered a lot of hindrances in order to many of our colleagues. Actually, universities is not just a teaching institution, it's also for facilitating research and cross-fertilization of ideas among various universities. The issue of IBPS has prevented many of our colleagues from even going on sabbatical within Nigeria. These ideas are really affected because anybody that goes to do their own sabbatical in any further university among them will not be paid. And sabbatical is very essential for the good of research of every institution. No institution in any university all over the world has monopoly of knowledge. You need cross-fertilization of ideas. People, exchanges are promoted. People can go from one university to another. These are some of the peculiarities of universities that cannot be incorporated to IBPS. There's no way the IBPS can work for any institution in Nigeria. And you can see, ever since the IBPS started, it has retarded the growth of so many universities in terms of their staff and the academic exchange within Nigeria. So for the government now removing this thing is a real welcome development. It's a welcome development for
Prof, is a welcome development, but it automatically also places a degree of responsibility and accountability on associations such as ASU. And the reason is that people and journalists will be looking forward now to seeing the integrity of governance in our universities. Because you must remember that it was a regime of abuses that ultimately precipitated the idea of the IPPS, notwithstanding the fact that it was not done in a manner that was very reflective of the needs and the imperatives of university governance. How would you respond to that?
Yes, that's fine. Either because we don't have a good governance in place in many of our institutions, with proper corporate governance in place, we can check all this for accountability issues. So each institution will be able to regulate itself. Okay? Our governing council will be able to do their work of oversight. The fact that the RBI is not the one to checkmate that. I mean, that's why the government put governing council there. And if we have a proper corporate governance legislation, this is what I expect government to do now. I mean, we should have a corporate governance regulation so that we know who and what is what. We should be able to check this accountability issue. And so the organization that we have a lot of work to do now, okay, to put all this corporate governance in place, maybe the Financial Reporting Council, okay, I believe that trying to do something on that, okay, so I mean to be able to put accountability in different institutions. So each institution should be able to do this on their own. You know, once there is a corporate governance regulation in place, they will comply with it. And with good governing council, okay, then they try to do everything properly in every institution, provided the government itself will not be interfering, especially in some of these governing council issues. Once there's a regulation in place that everybody is supposed to comply with, the governing council member knows their role. There is an approval limit. The VC knows their role. I mean, everything is well properly defined.
Prof.
Okay, I believe the issue of accountability can be checked in Nigerian university system.
Prof.
It is because there is no corporate governance in place now. But in many of these institutions, that's why maybe we are having accountability issues. Okay, but this thing can be done. But we can't, because of that, we are not erode the autonomy of these universities. This is going to affect the performance of the universities. Thank you.
Prof, you will agree with me that in so much as the theoretical presentation of corporate governance, as you've just articulated, sounds very convincing, you will agree with me that the universities, the tertiary institutions, not only the universities, the tertiary institutions, in some respects, are cesspits of, one does not want to talk about it. Indeed, there was one particular occasion that the chair of the governing council of a particular university's board came on national TV and called the vice chancellor a thief. And he said he had tapes to that effect. And you know what? The guy was relieved for investigation and was reinstated, and on his reinstatement, we had even members of ASU jubilating with him from the gate of the university. So one is sitting there now and one is thinking, you know what? It does seem in some respects too that ASU, there should be a third force of accountability, holding the management, the constitutional management of the university to account. Sometimes it does seem that there is a degree of complicity and things that done so shoddily that even when it's obvious to the open eyes that, you know what, things are not properly done, ego comes into it and you don't want outsiders to be involved. One hopes that will not be the direction we'll be going after these victories for ASU.
Okay, if I get you right, and that means you are referring to especially what happened in University of Lagos, whereby the chairman of the governing council claimed that the VC committed some atrocities, Am I getting it right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, actually, I myself, I did not completely agree with ASU, the way ASU went about it. Although what they are trying to address, I believe they should not have gone the way they went, because ASU is the one also preaching against accountability. But what ASU was after and at that time was that the chairman of government council did not follow the process. That was their claim. The due process was not followed.
Prof. To be honest with you, some of us in the world of journalism and analysis of events, we know that the very reason why it did seem that the VC and the ego trippers of Unilag got away with murder was because the person concerned, and I'm not mentioning names there, the person concerned had his own reputational baggage. If it was not for the fact that that person had his own reputational baggage, what happened in Unilag was indeed a disgrace to tertiary education management in Nigeria. If somebody had the temerity to come on national TV and call me a thief, I will litigate. And I kept telling people that if that VC did not go ahead to litigate, it would be an indictment, not only against himself, but indeed against ASU that was celebrating with him when they reinstated him. And I concede the fact, sir, that even you said you weren't too happy with it. And one is just praying at this juncture that the management of universities will not be going in that direction with some perceived degree of complicity by the local ASU leadership. That is the only thing, the point I'm trying to make, sir.
But on this particular matter, we didn't totally agree. There was division among us. Because as I said, my own point around that time was the fact that we should have allowed the governing council to have their way. If the governing council says somebody is corrupt, the person should be the one to go and defend himself. Okay? The person should also be the one to defend himself. But the government also added to the whole problem. Because the government should have tried to interfere with the autonomy of the university. There's already an autonomy act that gave the governing council, okay, the power to be the one to recruit whoever is going to be the vice chancellor. So they are also the ones to also determine who should be removed. But the government itself interfered in the whole process. The government, so a lot of people, a lot of issues are involved in that matter.
Prof.
So what is very necessary now? What is very necessary is to have a good corporate governance in place now.
Prof.
So that
I must celebrate
this kind of thing in future.
Prof, I must celebrate your candor because for so long a time I've never seen somebody this high up in ASU saying that at that point he or she was a bit. But having said that, to wrap up now, I must just ask you this question. Now that after long suffering, after abuses, after denials, ASU has gotten this victory for the management of tertiary institution in Nigeria, because ASU was the most steadfast, especially on the issue of the over-centralization of the remuneration system. Now that ASU has gotten it, some of your members who felt that you people were just being unduly obstinate, how would you go now? I guess if the rain falls, it falls on everybody. It's going to be a general blessing, is it?
Am I still on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Part of the things ASU wanted. Okay. It's part of the demand of ASU. And so it's like it was good that the government itself saw it. He saw that this RTPS might not really work for the universities. So that's why I say it's a welcome development, and it's going to be well embraced by ASU. Okay, so I will also appeal to the government, because since they have addressed one of these demands of ASU, the government should also, as a father, take another look at some of the demand of ASU that led to the last strike in 2022. So, because what ASU was demanding that time also was fair.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Hello?
We really appreciate your virtual presence on the program today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all the best. We're going on a short break now, and when we're back, we go on the second segment of the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly, Edison Eye, has declared the seats of the lawmakers who defected vacant. On Monday, 27 lawmakers said to be loyal to Nyesom Wike, the immediate past governor of the state, left the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the All Progressives Congress, APC. During plenary on Wednesday at the Government House, following the early morning demolition of the Assembly complex, with only lawmakers loyal to the governor in attendance, AA declared the seats of the defectors vacant. Let's listen.
The motion to declare the seat of 25 defected members of the Rivers House of Assembly vacant. This House received correspondence, notices, and publications, including letters from 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for their former defection from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. And we have also confirmed this visually, including videos that were posted via media houses and including the social media. We are aware that it is the right members and every Nigerian regards freedom of association. Consequently, distinguished colleagues, the House, having deliberated formally on the motion before it in line with our standing order and the Constitution of 1999 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I hereby declare the seats of the following honorable members of the Rivers State House of Assembly vacant.
In an interesting twist to the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State, the Martins Amewule-led Rivers State House of Assembly convened a sitting on Thursday. Some 24 hours after Governor Similai Fubara led the demolition of the Assembly complex on Moscow Road, the Amewule group held a plenary session at the auditorium of the Assembly quarters on Aba Road, despite a restraining court order. The sitting by the Amewule group came just a day after the 5-man group led by Edison Eye declared vacant 27 seats of the lawmakers in the Amewule group for defecting from the PDP to the All Progressive Congress. Joining us is Barrister Inibehe Effiong. Barrister, good evening this evening.
Good evening.
Barrister, what would be your take to... Hello?
Yes, I'm with you.
What would be your take to the unfolding melodrama, very saddening melodrama in Rivers State?
It is quite unfortunate, but at the same time, some of us are not surprised by the cannery of shame that is taking place in Rivers State. And that is essentially because we have Wike who has assumed the status of an emperor and believe that everyone has to submit and bow before his throne of judgment. And then when you have a man who says he purchased nomination forms for all elective office holders in Rivers State, including Fubara, the other assembly members, and even the National Assembly members, that speaks to a man who is suffering from chronic God complex. He has assumed the position of a god in the politics of Rivers State. That is why Wike cannot comprehend why his protege, Fubara, will want to have an independent political life or existence. So what is going on is just about greed and selfish interest. Fubara is also desperate to retain the position. The Godfather is also desperate to remove him. I think that is what is going on.
Okay.
But in the midst of all that, the law also must be respected, which is one that if the defecting law or former lawmakers, as it were, had come to a decision that they can no longer remain in the party on whose platform they contested, the party that sponsored their election, the honorable thing is to resign. Wike himself in the past had stated clearly that one should not decamp from the party on whose platform one was elected to a different party. That was why, when he was deprecating the then governor of Zamfara State for decamping from the PDP to the APC. But again, this is how our politicians are. They engage in doublespeak. They are hypocritical and eternally dishonest. So I am submitting that those members having defected, they are deemed to have lost their seats. Their seats can be properly declared vacant. And that is what Edison Ehi, who is also laying claim to the position of speakership, partly on the basis of the interim order of the High Court of Rivers State, seems to have given effect to.
Okay, Barrister, let me quickly go to your colleague, Dr. Ubani. Dr. Ubani, are you there? Hello, hello, Dr. Ubani.
I'm here. Are you seeing me? I'm here.
Okay. Dr. Ubani, it is obvious that the ex parte order gotten by one of the factions of the Rivers State House of Assembly seem to logically now have precipitated a situation where a four-man member body sat to approve a 800 billion naira plus budget. Went ahead also, one could also presume that it was the same order that must have given that temerity to whoever instructed the demolition of the sanctuary of lawmaking in Rivers State. How would you respond to that, Doc?
Thank you for having me. I want to say that there are several ex-party orders now that the parties are holding tenaciously to. You remember that there was this ex-party order that was initially obtained by the majority of the 27 members in Abuja, I think by Justice Omotosho, who restrained everyone that they put as a defendant from interfering with their legislative function in Rivers State. The minority went to Federal High Court somewhere in Port Harcourt too, and sought for an ex-party order. All their reliefs were denied, but the court made a pronouncement that one, and all parties should be put on notice. There was an order to that effect, but also some assaulted, in the last statement by saying all parties who are mentioned in this particular suit to maintain a status quo, and they should remain where they were. That was the order that the last judge made in Port Harcourt. But I don't think that particular order was very satisfactory to the minority members. So what they did was that yesterday they went back, I think, to a different court and now got a very substantive order that now recognize the 5 members as the proper authority to legislate for Rivers State government or state. And then they now conveyed, and from the story we heard, they now declare the seats of the 27 member or 25 members vacant, based on the fact that they defected. And the law is very clear as to the issue of defection anyway. It is only the members of the Legislative Assembly that the law allows to defect, that would have made pronouncement as to what should happen if they want to defect. For the executive, very silent, and any other political officer, they're very silent. But for lawmakers, the Constitution was very express that if you want to defect, fine, your seat will be declared vacant, except you can prove, except you can be able to provide evidence that at the time of your defection, that there was what we call division within your political party under which you were elected. And so if you are not able to provide that evidence to show that there is sufficient evidence of division, then of course your seat will be declared vacant. Now these guys defected and cited, that they were not able to have communication with the secretary of the party, or there are cases that are pending both in Lagos and Abuja concerning the leadership, also in the secretariat and all that. And for that reason, they felt that there is enough crisis or division that would now warrant them defecting. And they were all singing and happy that they have defected and all that. But these people now got a court order, ex-party, saying that they are now the legitimate house. And based upon that, they sat and then now declare the seat of the other majority members vacant. So what is playing out actually in Rivers is something that we should not smile about. We should be really mourning as a nation, because this is clearly very disgraceful, very embarrassing, and not clearly in tandem with the wishes of the people who have elected these men, and women to go and represent them and provide good governance. And I'm so sad again that the court is beginning now to be part of the entire process, because the politician can rubbish any institution. And I'm so sad that the judiciary is being brought in now in such a manner that they're playing to the beat of the politicians. I had thought that in such a very serious, grave matter, that the court would have asked all parties to be put on notice and let this matter be settled once and for all. This issue of ex-parte applications and order that the court is now giving to all of them, and they're all holding tenaciously to it, will create more confusion and not augur well both for the judiciary and for the country and for the state. So I'm so
Dr. Obani,
sad with that development. Yes.
Dr. Obani, I'll come back to you, Doctor. Let me go to Barrister Effiong. Barrister, in the matters appertaining rivers, one really has to be very careful, even the way one asks questions. So I want to separate or compartmentalize issues now. Let me take the issue of the demolition or the optics of the demolition of the edifice that symbolizes an independent arm of government by agents of another arm whose principal could be said to be using the demolition to protect his own position. How does that look to somebody who is dispassionate, who is not partisan? How does that look to you, especially as somebody of the law?
It is a very responsible development. I don't understand why the complex had to be demolished. If there are structural defects, I'm not sure that demolishing the entire structure the way it has been done will solve the disagreement. I do not see any need for that. I do not subscribe to that. I do not support that. Whatever the intention is, it is very suspicious. The timing is wrong. The optics is wrong. And I feel that Fubara may have gone too far. You do not simply walk into the chambers of parliament and demolish it because you claim you want to carry out renovation. That is not even supposed to happen without the authorization of the assembly itself. Again, this independent legislature in the country, it is worse at the state level. All the houses of assemblies in this country are essentially appendages of the governors. And that is the basis for what is happening in Rivers State. Because Fubara wants to have control of the assembly, and then Wike also wants to control the assembly. So this is just about the political interest of two individuals. Unfortunately, the people of Rivers State will pay a price for it, and they are already paying a price for it.
Doc, Dr. Obani. Dr. Obani?
I'm here,
Okay.
I'm here, my brother.
Doctor, 800 billion naira plus budget approved less than 24 hours. Apart from 800 billion naira plus budget approved less than 24 hours, we now have a situation where a precedent has been set that if I am a governor in any state of the federation and a group of individuals who think because they are members of the State House of Assembly want to hold a position different from mine, the best I could do is either to go and remove the roof or go and crush the building. And I hope we're not inviting something untoward in this democratic experimentation if we are going in that direction. How would you respond to that, sir?
I'm very surprised that you are saying that this is a precedent. This is not a precedent. The precedent has already been established before now. Could you recollect what happened in Edo State, when Adam Oshomed also was the governor? Remember what happened? I think he also used some similar style that had just been employed by his brother governor in demolishing even the State House of Assembly. This is not the first time. If you remember Chimaroke and the governor Chimaroke, when he became governor, His godfather was Jim Nwobodo. And Jim Nwobodo had majority of the members trying to impeach Chimaroke. Chimaroke, I'm sure that he had the few members in his custody, and then presented a budget also that was passed by that minority, and he ran his state with them until he now regained a proper position of the politics and defeated his godfather. So what is happening, sir? Let's start from the beginning. If we have a country that is actually functioning and where all the institutions are functioning well, some of the illegalities that is playing out in our country will not happen. If you have a very strong judiciary, very critical, and have a very strong legislative assembly, very critical. All these illegalities that it seems fair, because nobody is only a tree that is aware that they are going to cut him, and he stands there waiting for them till tomorrow. No, you have to take some measures in order to safeguard yourself. Amechi also did it, so this is not even the first time.
Benga Daniel also.
So they were all. So it's only a tree. So what happened is that if you have a fair, let me finish, sir. If you have a fair legislative assembly that is very, very strong and all that knows what is right and wrong, they will, if any person bring any impeachable grounds and all that, they will look at it, and before even they follow the entire process, and then take it to the judiciary for the chief judge to constitute committee to look at it. But you don't have it. Those people will just call anything now impeachable offense, and before you know it, the man is gone. Even with a judiciary that will not in any way watch what is even the impeachable offense and all that. So the man will not wait and watch, and he's been dethroned and been taken out. So what he's doing now is survival of the fittest. I'm not saying that what he's doing is the right thing, but we have a problem, and we need to address those fundamental problems. We don't have institutions, and we don't have fairness in the system. There is no employment of process of fairness in everything we do, and that's why what is happening now is how is looking at
Mr. Albani, we really have to go. The time is quite against us. We want to say thank you to you for the illumination you brought into this, Barrister Effiong, Inibe Effiong. We also want to say thank you so much for the sacrifice you have to make, because it's like you were busy when we caught up with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Today's throwback. The Mains, the least celebrated of the Aboriginal owners of Lagos. The Mains, the least celebrated of the Aboriginal owners of Lagos. Main land is an integral part of the Ilaje nation, and the Main people are a significant linguistic group within the Yoruba family. Historical records indicate that they migrated from Ile-Ife, their original ancestral home, around the 10th century, but evidences abound too that, like the Jaws and other coastal civilizations, their dexterity on water took them as far down the Atlantic Ocean as Namibia and as far up as the upper crust of the Bight of Guinea. The kingship title of Main Kingdom is Amakwetu, and they have been a dominant and relevant force in the larger country and the wider Yoruba Kingdom for centuries. Indeed, they once killed an Oba of Benin, Oba Ehegbuda, and routed his navy. Geographically, Main land lies between latitude 61, 4 north and longitude 43, 4 east, and is bordered by Ikale in the north, Ijebu in the west, Ishekiri and Ugbo in the east, Edo in the northeast, and the Atlantic Ocean to the south. The Maindom consists of several coastal areas such as Orimoloye, Magbeyinwa, Igbokuta, and Mofere, as well as interland settlements like Ode Mayin, Igbolomi, Atijere, Igbokoda, Aboto, Igbo Egunrin, Meyintedo, Itebukumi, and Orarara. These locations have played a vital role in the historical and cultural significance of the Mayan people. The Mayan Kingdom's location along the Atlantic coastline of the present-day Ondo State in Nigeria has influenced its cultural and historical prominence. The intricate network of coastal and interland settlements reflects the breadth of Mayan dominance and the enduring legacy of its people. As one of the ancient Yoruba kingdoms, Mayan holds a unique place in the rich tapestry of Nigerian history and the wider Yoruba cultural heritage. The Ayema Fuge Ilaje chant resounds through the ages, symbolizing the enduring spirit of the Mayan people and their timeless connection to the ancestral land. Their legacy embodies the resilience and cultural richness of the Yoruba nation, particularly many historic families and localities in Lagos. 4 out of 5 administrative divisions, making Mayan land a crucial cornerstone of Nigeria's historical and cultural landscape. Indeed, many of the localities in Lagos and one of the most prominent urbans in Lagos, former White Cap chief, now a substantive Oba, Oniru, is actually, his Oriki is Oniru Oba Mayan. I am Bola Oba.
Hello there. My name is Oluseyi Akinwale Fashwi. Orúkọ rere ó sàn ju wúrà lọ, meaning a good name is worth more than gold. That was the creed imparted in us when growing up. This forms the background to my good old days story. My late grandfather, an Ondo man from Okegbogi compound in Ondo, Ondo State, was a revered Reverend Father of the Anglican Communion that traversed the whole of Western region back then. His sojourn in line of work brought him to Abeokuta, where he met and married my grandmother of Dideke family at Ikuruake, Abeokuta. This is the basis of my dual lineage of an Ondo man and Egba man. My late father, Prophet Olujimi Timothy Fashwi, resident in Ibadan, retired as a higher executive officer at the then Nigerian Cocoa Board, Cocoa House, while my late mother, a trader, Oluyemsi Fashwi, hails from Abeokuta. I was born at Lafia Hospital in Ibadan. I am the first of only 2 children, the other being a girl, now married. I grew up with my maternal uncle, late Mr. Adekunle Ladende Esquire, who was then an agricultural officer and later a divisional officer at Ogbomoso during the Western region days. My uncle, an Egba man, was a strict disciplinarian. His wife, a midwife then, likewise trained us all on strict moral standards. I will share some of my learning experiences with them in the course of my story. I started my primary education at Bodija International School and completed it at St. Benedict's Private School, Ibara-Abeokuta, where my uncle was transferred to Ogun State after creation of states in the 70s. Then to St. Leo's High School for secondary, Ogun State Polytechnic for A-levels, and University of Ilorin, where I obtained B.A. Hans degree in performing arts. Growing up was memorable and indeed indelible. From early days at Old Bodija, Ibadan, where streets were paved, neat clean gutters and drainage systems, security guaranteed, even with low fence and no barbed wires. It was then considered uncultured to speak across fence to your neighbors. Notable places then were Palm Chemist, Keba Chemist, KS Motel, Cocoa House, Agodi Gardens and Zoo, Premier Hotels, Rotunda, and a host of others. In those days of strong values, our normal day usually will begin with bell ringing by daddy, my uncle, for prayers. Songs from hymnal books, psalms from Bible were sung and recited off heart. Till date, I can still read Psalm 23, 121, 122, 103, 91, and some others from memory. Then, everyone had a car to do before school. Everyone was trained to write with Ami, the foundational phonemic notations of Yoruba language, which is Doremi, and speak in Yoruba language. Proverbs, idioms, witty sayings, storytellings. Alo, alo. Oruku tindi tindi tindi, oruku tindi tindi tindi, oruku bimo, gbogbo ọmọ ẹ̀ ló yàjẹ́ o. Kíni o? Pardon me as I won't be able to translate this in English language, but it suffices to say each story then ended with a lesson in moral and conduct. It is strange, therefore, to know that majority of families nowadays train their children strictly on English language and eroding our cultures and traditions, all in the name of westernization. This is a tickling time bomb. Values inculcated in us were good character, good name, discipline, integrity, truthfulness, cleanliness, hard work, dedication, loyalty, God-fearing, sound education, and responsibility. I remember a day I was running late and dressed up for school without doing my morning cars. As I prostrated fully, saying, Udabosa, meaning bye-bye, sir, Daddy asked, have you done your course in Yoruba? I couldn't answer in the affirmative. He then asked that I should go and remove my uniform and perform my duties, and that when I get punished for lateness in school, next time I'll learn to wake up earlier and do my cars. This taught me how to be responsible and time conscious. I remember another incident of my goose. My uncle requested for a glass of water. 50-50 calls it. Half hot water and half cold water, making it warm water. As I dashed from his front, I accidentally kicked or brushed his leg while leaving. He called me back and instructed me in Yoruba, Lo mu adawa kowage itakun to fese kolenkan, meaning go and bring a cutlass, machete, and cut the tree roots you kicked then. I turned to leave, only to realize my goof of not apologizing when I kicked his foot in error. I quickly prostrated and said, sorry, sir. That was courtesy lesson 101. I never forgot the incidents and lessons, using an idiom for corrections. Wow. I remember the good old telephone always under lock and key. I won't disclose some naughty pranks we played to dial numbers without opening the padlock. God help you if you are caught in the act. Your punishment will be near capital. I recall my uncle had tools of various artisans. We repaired minor things ourselves. Hammer, nails, saw, crowbar, shovels, plumb, ladder, plumbing machine, a toolbox for screwdrivers and paint brushes. We actually painted part of the house once. He was a hands-on man, a life skill I possess till date. Memories. What of dress code? Everyone must tuck in their shirts going out, neat and ironed. No collar flying. Hair must be cropped neat at Maridoti Babas, Makola. But what do we have today? Nudity has replaced decency. Now we glorify Yahooism as a profession. Drugs and drunkenness proliferate and rule our world. Mentorship gone to the winds and lawlessness now order of the day. How did we get here? Growing up, Our orientation of sound moral values was right, and it has helped me later in life to mix freely with people of diverse cultures and traditions. It is the same values that has helped me in my passion, drive, and calling into integrated development communication initiatives, where we use arts as a tool for advocacy and education for attitudinal change of various publics. This is a clarion call, a call for us to revisit those old-time tested values of integrity, discipline, patriotism, hard work, dedication, humility, good character, and high moral standards. It is time for us to call the emerging generation to borrow a leaf from our past when there was dignity in labor, honesty, perseverance, and belief in God, who is the author and finisher of our faith. Let's shun tribal sentiments and embrace religious tolerance. Hunger does not discriminate. You are uniquely made. Nigeria can and will be great again if we all do the needful and stop the blame game. Let us ask ourselves one question. Am I truthful and honest in my dealings? As a parent, government, or a businessman? What legacy are we leaving behind for our children? They deserve a future that is greater than our past. We owe them a duty to lead them right. Nigeria needs an urgent national moral rebirth to galvanize credible leadership and responsible followership. Therefore, I join Sir Shimore Badejo on this noble initiative to say there is hope for Nigeria still. Our good old days can be a foundation for a better tomorrow. Let's do our bit to make our country great again. Long live Nigeria. Thank you.
Who has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians, and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right of way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right of way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right of way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty. The law doesn't grant anyone the right of way, but you yield it to other road users under these circumstances. At a yield sign, to pedestrians in a crosswalk, to persons using a seeing eye guide dog, to persons using a white cane with or without a red tip, at T intersections where you must yield to vehicles on the through road, at uncontrolled intersections where vehicles are already in the intersection, when driving on an unpaved road that intersects with a paved road, when returning to the roadway after a car is parked. Pedestrians must always be yielded the right of way at intersections and crosswalks. Treat bicycles as motor vehicles. Yield to bicyclists in all situations where you would yield to a car. For example, wait for an oncoming bicycle to pass before turning left. Turn right at a red light if it's permitted and no vehicles are approaching. If you see a sign that says no right turn on red, then you must wait for the light to turn green again. Otherwise, you must turn right at a red light after yielding to oncoming traffic. Stop for pedestrians who've begun crossing the road. Once a pedestrian has begun crossing the road, they have the right of way. You should also stop for pedestrians waiting to cross at crosswalks that aren't controlled by a traffic light. Yield to oncoming traffic if you're entering a main road.
This is News Update. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed Governor Ahmadu Fintiri's re-election in Adamawa State, dismissing an appeal filed by APC candidate Senator Aisha Dahiru Binani. The court ruled the appeal vague and did not set aside the early judgments of the Adamawa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which upheld Fintiri's victory. Fintiri received 430,861 votes in a supplementary election, defeating Binani of the APC. Binani accused the election of corrupt practices and non-compliance with Electoral Act provisions. Also, Federal Court in Abuja has also restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from conducting fresh election to fill the seats of the 26 Rivers House of Assembly members who defected from People's Democratic Party, PDP, to All Progressive Congress, APC. Justice Donatus Okorowo, who gave the ruling in an ex parte motion moved by counsel to the defected lawmakers, Peter Ono, also restrained INEC, PDP, and the House of Assembly from declaring their seats vacant and also withdrawing their respective certificates of returns pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. Justice Okorowo equally gave an interim order of injunction restraining all the defendants from interfering with or impeding in any way or attempting to interfere with or impede in a way the performance of the applicant's official and legislative functions as the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and members respectively of the Rivers State House of Assembly, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. Now, the Rivers State chapter of All Progressive Congress has welcomed 27 state lawmakers who joined from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Now, the lawmakers were received in a ceremony where they accused the PDP of masterminding the arson of the Rivers State Assembly. PDP called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to declare the lawmakers' seats vacated. However, Okocha claims that the defectors can meet and make laws at any place regardless of the PDP's call. Edison A., the Speaker of the Edison Group of the Rivers State House of Assembly, has requested by-elections to replace 25 lawmakers whose seats were declared vacant. A member of the lawmakers loyal to Governor Sim Fubara declared the seats of lawmakers who defected from People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC, vacant. He wrote to INEC in a letter dated 14th December 2023 requesting a by-election to fill the vacant seats. They also directed the Accountant General of the state to suspend the payments of salaries and emolument due to the former lawmakers. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, plans to hold by-elections and rerun elections across Nigeria on February 4th, 2024 to fill vacancies in the state and the federal legislature. Now, the Commission's chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced that after litigation, the courts have ordered rerun elections in 34 federal and state constituencies. By-elections will be held to fill vacancies created by resignation or death of members. An authentic date and also timetable will be released after the meeting with party leaders. And still on news update, Anis Indigbo President General Emmanuel Iwunyawu has stated that the Igbo people in Nigeria have accepted President Bola Tinubu as the constitutional elected president, while also appealing for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the deposed indigenous people of Biafra. Now, the IPOB has also criticized Kanu's detention as unconstitutional and also called for a referendum. Now, Iwunyawu's consultation with other Igbo people confirmed their acceptance of Tinubu as the president and his potential assistance in releasing Kanu. And I'll move on to other parts of Africa. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi won the presidential election with 89.6% of the votes, securing a new 6-year term. The nation's the National Elections Authority reported an unprecedented 66.8% turnout among Egypt's 67 million voters. Over 39 million voters cast their ballots for Sisi, who has been in office for a decade. The election comes amid multiple crises in Egypt, including inflation at 36.4%, currency loss, and rising food prices. The country has 2/3 of the population living below or above the poverty line. In 2014 and 2018, Sisi won with over 96% of the vote. And straight outside Africa, Ukrainian troops are facing shortages of artillery shells and also have scaled back some military operations due to a shortfall of foreign assistance, according to Brigadier General Alexander. Now, the shortage of post-Soviet shells is affecting the entire front line, and the drop in foreign military aid is impacting the battlefield. Ukrainian forces are redistributing shells and replanning tanks to provide for them. Now, Russian forces also face ammunition problems as Ukrainian forces still expect victories but would benefit from reserves to rotate and rest them. Now, in business, a cooperative organization, Universal Learning Direct Academia, ULDA, in partnership with Dams Enterprises Limited, have invited all cooperators, both in London and Lagos, Nigeria, to take delivery of the first 8 detached terrace bungalow apartments at the Bluestone Garden City. The handing over of the keys to the apartments took place at the ULDA cooperatives inside the Bluestone Garden City along Mowe Fund Road, Ogun State. Now, correspondent Paul George reports.
These men and women at the site have come together to help solve one of the common problems of humanity, shelter. On this massive land, they have planned to build 185 affordable housing units along with their partners. The president of ULDA, Lagos and Global, Engineer Olawumi Gaspar, explained why the initiative is important. London branch managing director of the organization, Kola Aregbe, reassured the cooperators of their commitment in completing the project.
We decided to form a cooperative society, and knowing fully well that that's the best way that we can pool funds. Is a success story. Our cooperators can come over to see what it looks like. But I can assure our cooperators that we're all partners, we're all working together. It will be available at a very, very reasonable price, better than the market price. In the next 2 years, we will have delivered fully 185 units.
We've come to first inspect, the work that's gone on so far, in this estate. Which is basically owned by a number of members of the cooperative. In addition to actually providing shelter, the people involved in the actual construction are those that have gone through the tutelage and training by our construction arm.
The investor and financier of most of the housing projects, Omolara Hassan, is excited at the level of work done so far. Meanwhile, the financial secretary of the cooperators, Antonia Eke, said there is a window of opportunity for people to be beneficiaries as it will be reopened after the completion of the project.
I know about ULDA from UK, and we decided to partner with them. Although they own the land, but we did the funding to build the properties. As you can see, we did this within, I think, around 6 months, 6 to 8 months. I am very, very satisfied because I can see that all the money that we put out there to help build the property, they put the money into good use.
Window presently for admitting new members into the cooperative has been closed for a while. There will be, of course, opening of the windows for new people, but for now, we are just want to satisfy those that have invested their confidence on us. Our phone numbers is on our website www.ordercorp.org. Can reach us every information you need to get across to us.
Members witnessed the handing over of the keys to one of the apartments to the beneficiaries. Paul George, Plus TV News.
Yes, congratulations is in order. Now move on straight to entertainment news. It was a celebration of a life well spent as the late Selimota Olale Elizabeth Onosoya, mother of former Chief Executive Officer of First Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olabisi Onosoya, is laid to rest. The event organized in Lagos had Royal Highnesses, businessmen and managing directors of banks, among others, in attendance. Also, a correspondent, Paul George, was there.
Different groups, family members, and friends gathered at the Abundant Life Baptist Church, Ikorodu, to pay their last respect to Mama, the late Selimot Olaleye Elizabeth Onosoya, as her remains were ushered into the church. The pastor gave words of exhortation and prayers.
Jesus knew her. God knew her. She wasn't a church goer. She wasn't just going to church to mark attendance. She was a disciple. And not only that, she was a philanthropist. So when a believer, when a lover of Jesus dies, he goes home, he goes to sleep, he goes to rest.
At the reception, class of 1978 of the Eko Boys High School, where the deceased son, Chief Dr. Olabisi Onosanya, attended, were visibly represented. There were mixed feelings for the children, family and guests as glowing tributes poured in. The first son, Dr. Olabisi Onosanya, eulogized his late mother, speaking volumes of her selflessness and indelible mark she left.
She was the most humble person I've ever met in my life. A very dedicated woman, a very pious woman. Every moment that I spent with her was a moment to remember. And I learned a lot from her. Her native intelligence was second to none. And she brought us up to be pious and dedicated, to be God-fearing, and to respect every other person that comes around us. She was a great woman, a very hardworking woman, and I will miss her.
Dr. Onosanya said he would not think twice to have her as a mother all over again if reincarnation is possible. His wife, Helen, recounted the numerous encounters with Mama and how she treated them with love.
There's no doubt about that. She's the greatest mom that ever lived, and I still have not recovered from the shock of her death, even though we were prepared for that death. May her soul rest in peace.
She was a wonderful mother. She cooks the kokore for us, so she takes care of us. She's good with everybody, even in our area. They call her Mama Ijebu. Mama Ijebu is an awesome woman. When her mother was alive, she used to personally cook for her mother, her mom. She will ground pepper, Ijebu, a kokore, she will do it for the mother. Yes, so of course now, why not? And the son too is very good. Wonderful, he raised the children very well. So I love him, I love Mama, I love everything about Mama. Mama did well. May her soul, gentle soul rest in perfect peace.
Former Ogun State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Otumba Dayo Adeneye and Tunde Kpeku also paid tribute, saying it is joyful that our children can carry on the Onosanya's legacy.
We are more than friends. We are from the same hometown, like 2 streets down from each other in Ibefu, in Odogbolu local government. Mama was very dedicated to our children and to our family. And you can see by the caliber of children that she raised. And you can also see by the kind of caliber of people that are here from all over Ijebu, from all over Ogun State, all over Nigeria. So we pray that God will grant her eternal life. And we pray that the family that she left behind, God will strengthen them and give them the fortitude to carry on and continue to make the Onosanya family proud.
If you have the grace of God, you will live long and you live well. And if you're a prayerful mother, your children will get to greater heights. For this day, this is a day that is a day of grace. Because many people don't live as long as 88 years. But she lived 88 years and she has children that are successful, that are going to raise her name above the bar she has set for them. I pray for the family that God will give them all long life, to see their own children, and see their children grow. And take off the shoes. If you have a shoe and your leg of your child can fit in that shoe,